Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking beyond just, building the next big digital product. We're asking something really crucial. What happens after we're done with it?
Yeah, it's a shift, isn't it?
Totally. We're diving into circular design for digital stuff. For so long, it's been very linear, like take, make, use, and then poof, gone.
Out of sight, out of mind. But circular design flips that. It asks, how do we keep things, products, the materials they're made from, all those resources actually in use for as long as possible?
It's a big change in thinking. We've spent ages debating the ethics of building AI and new tech. Should we even make this thing?
That initial should we question.
But now the ethical side stretches right. It covers the whole lifespan. What's the full cycle? Are we thinking about the end just as much as the beginning?
That's the core of it. It's about responsibility beyond just the creation phase.
Exactly. And we've all been seduced by ultra-convenience. A classic example of linear thinking going a bit wrong in hardware, I think, was the Amazon Dash button. Remember those?
Oh, yeah. Those little plastic things. Click once, get more detergent.
Seemed like peak efficiency, didn't it?
Total convenience, absolutely. But there was this hidden environmental cost baked right in. Each button was basically, it was single-use hardware.
Right. And when Amazon pulled the plug,
millions of them, instantly e-waste. You couldn't easily upgrade them, couldn't really repurpose them. Recycling was tricky. They were built for one job. And then obsolescence, designed for the bin, essentially.
And it's not just physical gadgets, is it? The digital world has its own version. Think about app stores just full of abandoned apps nobody maintains.
Or cloud services. We dump data up there, but do we ever think about how long it should live? Or what happens to it eventually?
It's the same problem, just less visible than a pile of plastic buttons. And the scale, it's huge. Globally, we're talking something like 50 million tons of e-waste every single year.
50 million tons. It's staggering. The point isn't just about one defunct gadget. It's about that core design flaw chasing immediate ease over the long-term impact. Convenience blinding us to the waste.
So that's our mission for this deep dive then. Let's really explore how this circular thinking might offer actual solutions to this massive digital waste problem.
And it's not just about being green, though that's vital. It can actually spark innovation, lead to more sustainable, maybe even more robust ways of making and using digital things. It's a fundamental rethink.
Okay, so let's get into it. These core principles of circular thinking, what are we really talking about? What are the key ingredients?
Well, at its heart, it boils down to a few key ideas that all kind of connect. First, designing for durability and repair. Building things to last, making them easy to fix.
Right, not designed to break after 2 years.
Exactly. Second, enabling reuse, resale, or sharing. This often means designing for modularity.
Modularity, like Lego, parts you can swap.
Kind of, yeah. Making products from separate bits, components that you can easily swap out, upgrade, or use somewhere else, so the product or its parts can have second, third lives.
Okay, durability, repair, reuse, modularity. What else?
Third, thinking about materials right from the start, using recycled stuff or materials sourced ethically to cut down the initial impact. And finally, planning for the end of life.
So not just hoping it disappears.
Right. Thinking ahead. Will there be take-back programs? Is it designed so it can be taken apart easily for recycling?
So the whole mindset shifts.
Yeah.
Instead of asking how fast can we push out the next version, it becomes more like...
Precisely. The key question becomes, what if disposal, throwing this thing away, was actually a failure of our design? How would that change how we even start creating it?
That changes everything. Okay, let's make this concrete. You mentioned hardware. Is there a really good example of this in action?
A really compelling one is the Framework laptop. They've basically built their whole company around this idea of modularity.
Ah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, almost everything important. The screen, the memory, the ports, even the keyboard and battery. It's all designed so you, the user, can replace it.
Wow. That's the opposite of most laptops now, which feel glued shut.
Exactly. Framework deliberately avoids glue, uses standard screws, and they even provide open source guides for repairs and upgrades. They're really flying the flag for the right to repair movement.
So they're actively fighting obsolescence.
Their whole philosophy is obsolescence is a design flaw, not just something that happens. Reduce e-waste, make laptops last longer. They even have a marketplace for spare parts, so you can actually fix or upgrade it yourself. It's that intentional design for longevity right from square one. That's the key insight.
That's a powerful hardware example. But how does this thinking work for, say, services or the way a business operates? It's not always a physical thing you can unscrew.
Good point. And that's where a company like MUD Jeans is interesting. They're a Dutch denim brand, but their model is completely different. They have this leasing system.
Beefing jeans.
Yeah. Instead of buying them, customers rent them for a monthly fee. When you're done with them, maybe they wear out or you want to change, you just send them back.
Okay, so like a subscription for your trousers.
Yeah.
That's different.
It is. And the clever part is what they do next. MUD Jeans takes those return jeans, shreds them, and recycles the fibers. They incorporate up to 40% of that old post-consumer denim into brand new pairs.
Wow, so they're actually closing the material loop.
Exactly. It's a real shift from owning stuff to just having access to it when you need it. And that makes you think, doesn't it? Could we do something similar in the digital world? Lease software differently, maybe? Not just sell perpetual licenses.
Huh. Instead of buying software outright, you subscribe to the service of using it. And maybe there's a better end-of-life plan built in.
Potentially. The core idea is rethinking that consumer relationship access over ownership. That shift has huge implications, even for digital services.
Definitely food for thought.
Hmm.
Okay, so we've got hardware designed for it, a service model built around it. Can the digital platforms themselves be circular?
Absolutely. Take Back Market, for example. They're a French digital platform.
Right, I've seen them. They sell refurbished tech, yeah.
Exactly. They're a marketplace specifically for refurbished electronics, phones, laptops, tablets, you name it. They connect people wanting to buy refurbished with certified professional refurbishers.
And they offer warranties and stuff, too.
Yeah.
It makes it feel less risky than buying secondhand from just anyone.
Uh-huh. Warranties, quality checks, even trade-in programs.
Yeah.
So they're creating this formal, trusted space for giving devices a second life.
So the platform itself is the circular product here, in a way.
Precisely. It's not making new hardware, it's building an entire ecosystem around reusing what already exists, keeping gadgets out of the bin for longer. And crucially, they're transparent.
How so?
They show things like repair scores for devices, and they estimate the Kyoro savings you make by choosing refurbished over new. They're actively trying to nudge users towards more sustainable choices.
That's fascinating. Seeing these, formal, often quite high-tech examples is great. But I know there's also a ton of informal circular stuff happening globally, right? Especially in the global south. It's not always sleek startups.
Oh, absolutely. That's a really important point. While we focus on these big companies or new tech, there's this huge, vibrant world of circularity happening informally, organically, in street markets, local communities.
Like what sort of things?
Just everyday repair, for starters. People fixing things. Widespread reuse, repurposing items for completely different functions. And these extensive informal recycling networks.
Can you give some concrete examples?
Sure. Think about India. Places like Nehru Place in Delhi or Lamington Road in Mumbai, they're famous hubs for electronics repair and refurbishment. You can find someone to fix almost anything, and there's a huge market for secondhand parts.
Real repair economies.
Exactly. Then, looking at the e-waste challenge, a place like Agbog Blashi in Ghana, which faces enormous environmental and health problems as a dumping ground, let's be clear, is also a place where informal workers are extracting valuable metals from discarded electronics because there's value there.
Right. Recovering resources, albeit often in very difficult conditions.
And in Brazil, you have the catadores, the informal waste pickers. They play this incredibly vital role in collecting and sorting recyclables, often working completely outside any formal system, but diverting huge amounts of waste.
It's amazing when you think about the scale of activity, the livelihoods involved, and the waste prevented just through this informal ingenuity and, frankly, necessity.
Totally. It really highlights that circularity isn't just about advanced tech or corporate strategy. Resourcefulness and community solutions are often right at the heart of it.
Okay, so we're seeing these principles work in formal tech, informal markets. What about blending it with other emerging tech, like AI? Can artificial intelligence actually help make things more circular?
Yeah, AI definitely has potential here. It could help create smarter, longer-lasting products and systems in a few key ways. One obvious one is predictive maintenance.
Predicting when something's going to break before it does.
Exactly. AI algorithms can analyze data from hardware-think aircraft engines, industrial machines, spot patterns, and predict likely failures. Rolls-Royce does this with their jet engines.
So you can fix it proactively, extend its life, avoid catastrophic failure and replacement? Like giving things foresight.
Precisely. Then there's optimizing material flows. AI can analyze really complex supply chains, figure out where materials are going, and identify better ways to recover, repurpose, or reuse them efficiently.
Sorting out the logistical nightmare.
Kinda, yeah. IBM has tools like their Supply Chain Intelligence Suite, aiming to help businesses source more sustainably using this kind of analysis. And then there's the actual sorting and recycling process itself.
Right, separating all the different materials and waste streams.
AI-powered machine vision and robotics are making a big difference there. Companies like AMP Robotics use AI to guide robots that can sort plastics, metals, e-waste much faster and more accurately than traditional methods.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything else?
While potentially even influencing user behavior, AI could maybe nudge us towards greener choices, suggesting a repair instead of buying new, highlighting refurbished options, that sort of thing.
It's an interesting thought. If AI is so good at optimizing for profit, could it also optimize for sustainability, even if we don't explicitly tell it to focus only on that?
That's a deep question, isn't it? Ultimately, moving to a circular economy means designing smarter, more connected systems overall. And AI, with its ability to learn and adapt, could be a really powerful tool in building those systems over time.
Now, for any big shift like this, policy and regulation usually have to get involved. What's happening on that front to push for circularity, especially with digital products?
The European Union has definitely been taking the lead here. Back in 2020, they launched the EU Circular Economy Action Plan, or CEP. It's a major part of their bigger European Green Deal.
Okay, the Green Deal. I've heard of that. What's the main goal of the CEAP part?
The big vision is to make Europe climate neutral, resource efficient, and basically generate zero waste. How? By fundamentally designing waste out of the system and keeping materials circulating for as long as possible.
Ambitious. What are the key aims, practically speaking?
It's about changing how products are designed right from the start, giving consumers better information and power to choose sustainable options, encouraging circular business models, and creating green jobs. And for our conversation, electronics and ICT is specifically named as a top priority sector.
Makes sense, given the e-waste problem we talked about. So what specific rules are coming out of this plan that hit digital products?
A really important one is the Eco-Design for Sustainable Products Regulation, the ESPR. This is setting new baseline requirements. Products will need to be more durable, easier to repair, possible to upgrade, modular in design, easier to recycle, and made with responsibly sourced materials.
So building circularity in by law, essentially.
Pretty much. It's the framework. And operating underneath that framework is something called the EU Digital Product Passport, or DPP.
Digital Product Passport. Okay, that sounds significant. What is it?
Imagine a standardized digital record, like a detailed ID card, for almost every product. It'll hold comprehensive info about its materials, where they came from, its components, how repairable it is, its environmental impact, everything.
Why? What's the main point?
The big goals are transparency, making all that info visible. Then, facilitating recycling, giving recyclers the data they need, and ultimately pushing manufacturers towards designing more sustainable products in the first place, because the details will be out there.
Okay, so what kind of specific info would be on this digital passport?
Things like a unique ID for the product, obviously, detailed breakdowns of materials, what they are, where they came from, including how much recycled content is in there.
Crucial for recyclers, I imagine.
Definitely. Also, clear instructions on repair and maintenance availability of spare parts, manuals, data on environmental impact, carbon footprint, energy use, and proof of compliance with regulations or any sustainability certifications it has.
Who actually benefits from all this information being available?
Well, potentially everyone along the chain. Manufacturers can use it to track their own products, improve designs, prove compliance. Consumers get transparency to make informed choices.
Like checking the nutrition label, but for sustainability and repair.
Exactly. Recyclers, as you said, get vital data for sorting and processing. And policymakers get better data to monitor progress and enforce the rules.
Are we actually seeing these DPPs in the real world yet? Or is it still theoretical?
It's starting. The fashion industry is already running pilots. Brands like Marimekko and Couple are experimenting with DPPs for their clothes.
What are they using them for?
To give customers more transparency about materials, production, how to care for the garment, and what to do at the end of its life. The idea is to encourage better recycling, more sustainable habits, and support circular models in fashion.
So when can we expect these passports for electronics and other things? What's the timeline?
It's going to be phased in. The first wave is expected around 2026, and they're aiming for full implementation across many sectors by 2030. So businesses really need to start preparing now.
What does preparing involve?
Auditing their product data. Do they even have all this information? Investing in the digital systems to manage it, and collaborating up and down their supply chains to get accurate data. It's a big job for many.
Sounds like it. But are there upsides for companies that get ahead of the curve?
Oh, definitely. Being an early adopter can really position a company as a leader in sustainability that can attract customers, investors, talent. It could
Right.
become a real competitive advantage.
Okay. Alongside the DPP, we have also heard a lot more noise recently about the right to repair movement. How does that fit into this circular picture?
It fits perfectly. The right to repair, or R2R movement, and the policies it pushes for are absolutely fundamental to circular design. The core idea is simple. Consumers and independent repair shops should be able to fix the products they own.
How? By forcing manufacturers to.
To make the necessary things available, spare parts, repair manuals, diagnostic software tools easily accessible and at a fair price.
Why is that so important for circularity?
Because it directly fights planned obsolescence, that whole model of things being designed to be thrown away quickly. If you make repair possible and affordable, products last longer. That cuts down e-waste dramatically.
Right. Extends the usable life.
Exactly. Plus, it helps build local repair businesses, creates jobs, and just gives people more control over the things they've bought.
I know some big manufacturers haven't been keen historically.
No, there's definitely been a resistance. Companies like Apple or John Deere have fought R2R laws, often citing reasons like protecting intellectual property or safety concerns, or just defending their authorized repair networks. But the tide is turning.
Where are we seeing progress?
France was a pioneer, introducing a mandatory repairability score for electronics right on the label. The EU is working on rules requiring electronics to be repairable for maybe 10 years or more. In the US, it's happening state by state. New York passed a significant Fair Repair Act. Even India put out a draft right to repair framework back in 2022.
It really loops back to that question you posed earlier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Would your product survive a 10-year repair requirement? That forces a serious rethink.
Absolutely. It shifts the focus from just selling a unit to thinking about its entire active life and the ecosystem needed to support that life.
So wrapping this all up then, we've journeyed from the old linear take, make, dispose way of thinking to this emerging circular approach, especially for digital products. And it's clear this isn't just about being eco-friendly. It's got deep ethical and even economic roots.
Absolutely. We've seen the core principles: designing things to last, to be repaired, enabling reuse, using better materials, planning for the end, aren't just theory. The examples we talked about, framework laptops, MUD jeans, back market, they show it's doable, it's happening now.
And it feels like the policy side is catching up and maybe even accelerating things. The EU's plans, the DPP, the right to repair momentum.
Definitely. Those policy levers are sending really strong signals to businesses, consumers alike. The pressure to adopt more sustainable, circular practices for electronics and beyond is only going to increase. It's becoming an imperative.
So for you listening, as you think about all this, maybe consider the digital products you use every day, or maybe ones you're involved in creating or might dream up. Given what we've discussed, the principles, the examples, what's one change, even a small one, you could imagine applying to make a product you use or design just a little bit more circular in its life or its impact.
Yeah, just thinking about that whole system and your place within it.
It's a lot to think about. Thanks for joining.